Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you're doing well. Alexander Duncan here is saying that Islam is the number one threat to the civilized world. So, not narcos, cartel members, not mafias that are still around, not the underground criminal world, which is almost like a parallel government. No, not those organizations, not secret occultic societies, which sounds conspiratorial, I know, but they do exist. So those aren't a problem. But people going on Hajj, circumambulating the Kaaba, paying their sadaqah, zakah, their charity, tithings, people not drinking, not gambling, not participating in high interest banking or interest banking whatsoever, people who try to stay out of debt, because if you die with debt, it's incumbent upon your descendants to pay off your debts, because, dying with debts is a problem, as we learned in the fiqh video I just did. So check that out, the concise presentation of fiqh playlist. There's so much in there, in the fiqh book, that you can see, Islam is very civilized. And if we go through Christian history, we will see that, no, Christians were not always... Not even today are they these pacifist, feet-washing, kissing cheek people. No, that's not true at all. And the funniest part is that you'll see Crusader posts on X where it has a Crusader with the Knights Templar on him. It has laser eyes and it's saying, it's time for another crusade. What does that mean? Getting on your horse, picking up your sword, and shanking people. That's what a Crusader did. Okay. It's attached to violence. To be a crusader is like to be a raider. It's just that you think it's okay because it's your cause. And when you think about what the Christians did to Mexico, Peru, Canada, basically indigenous populations, the history of colonization, the more you learn about it, the more you're like, yeah, that was pretty brutal. And people like Matt Walsh will say, well, it's justified because they didn't have the wheel and there was something strange. And you're like, what? But they do a lot of dancing around what they have done to the world as well. That they always were just handing out pamphlets. Spanish Inquisition, Mary Tudor, flaming, barbecuing Protestants, the Catholic Church fighting against the Freemasons. There's a lot of history there, and I'm not knocking them. I'm just pointing out how Christians rewrite their history and pretend like popes didn't have armies, or that they were just always, getting on their feet and prostrating against everything and telling their enemy they love them. It's just not true at all. And so, the civilized world, is it civilized that in America in 2023 over 1 million women had abortions because they felt that they didn't want to continue the genetics of the man they slept with? Is that civilized? When we have women creating profiles of themselves online with adult content, is that civilized right as they turn 18? So they're not getting married, but they're monetizing their sexuality, which spreads a lot of fitna, a lot of corruption for married men, and also puts her in a position of danger because stalkers and weirdos. Is that civilized? Is it civilized that Trump's big beautiful bill, as it's so named, it's not so beautiful, cut free school lunches for kids? It kicked more people off of medical care, cut SNAP benefits, EBT food aid. Is that civilized? Where you tell the needy, nah. No food for you, bucko. But we're going to send money to wage war in Palestine, so they're going to give money to Is Not Real. They want to do more strikes on Venezuelan boats. These people don't have a trial. We don't really know if they are trafficking drugs. And Americans gobble up drugs. And rich people, they snort the devil's dandruff all the time. And they don't really get held accountable like a petty common addict. The homelessness problem is growing. The housing bubble is getting even worse. Medical bankruptcy is extremely high in the United States. Is that civilized? AI has taken many jobs. Amazon, just laid off a bunch of workers. If you look at the research about how many people's cars are getting repossessed, I just posted that on the community tab. That's going up. If you look at how our prison population for women is very high, the highest in the world. You have to type it in on Google in a specific way. But you say, what country has the most women incarcerated or the most women in jail, prison, locked up? And you'll see America. And you're like, huh? So if we're so civilized, why are our prisons super full? I'd ask that. Why are our prisons filled to the brim with people? If our country is so civilized, why is there so much pain and suffering going around? As in, Granny's in the old folks' home, Mommy got an abortion, other Timmy is at the daycare, being raised all day, Dad is grinding out work, Mom is on her job, a divided family, no unity. Mom copes with pills and Chardonnay, Dad copes with adult content and some whiskey and a cigar. The child lives on the iPad and is so pumped full of high fructose corn syrup that they're probably going to have diabetes by the age of 20. So again, the American culture is not producing vibrant, happy, sane people. Okay, and just because you have immigrants who come here, like Patrick Bet-David and some other talking heads, and say America's the greatest country on earth, but you have MGTOW growing, the radical feminist, the Rad Fem movement growing, and they're both accusing each other of, well, men ain't worth this and women ain't worth that. If everything was so hunky-dory, why are so many men complaining about the divorce courts? Why are Christian moms in so many of these Facebook groups complaining that their husbands are watching adult content and not being intimate with them? You have over 40 million Americans who believe that they, that they're never going to get off of their food aid because there's not high enough wages. So you got a lot of people on food aid, medical bankruptcy, high taxes, and then you have your immigrant friends being rounded up by these MAGA cult members who joined ICE. You see a lot of cruelty going around. You see a lot of heartless behavior and a lot of scapegoating. And so hopefully people can realize that Alexander Duncan is not fit to rule. He's not fit to lead. He's not a unifier. He's a divider. He wants you to harm your fellow citizen of Texas because they simply covered their hair and go to the store with their children with loose clothing and they're not wearing a bikini. So if you look at it, he's not somebody who's going to make life better for the people of Texas. He's not fixing Christian problems, right? So he's not telling Christians, hey, maybe I'll get more Christian bookstores in the area, or I will give a tax break or something, or help some church or something like that. Whatever he wants to do for the Christian community, he hasn't said. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect the believers, keep us safe, and help such bigots to not get in positions of power. Ameen.